We can do that. We can do the recording from outside, no problem.
No, I just started the recording, so if possible,
Okay,
I'll share you the recording as well. No problem. Okay.
That's good then. Thanks, Harsh. Yeah.
So, okay, so I'll just like brief you about the typical topology that we use into Azure. Okay. So there are some terms I think you guys might be aware, but I'm just going to start from the scratch. Okay. So it is almost the same setup, same topology that we use into the physical environment. Okay. There are some new terms like the routing concept is something new, and load balancer, a few things are new here. So if you look at from the top, like from the Azure, we get the internet. Okay. Then that internet ISP, the public IP gets terminated to the Azure load balancer. Okay. Then what we do is we basically, whenever you go to the Azure in the first time, okay, you basically define the address space. So address space is nothing but a bigger subnet, which basically decide, okay, this is the subnet I'm going to use for my internal communication for the web DB or whatever server. Okay. Then basically from this address space, you basically create your multiple subnets. Okay, based on your topology, your design or requirement, you create multiple subnets. Okay. Now, if you look at in my diagram, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have an address space range which is going to be 10.0.0.0/16. Okay. Now that address space range I'm going to divide into the multiple subnets. Okay. So if you look at the top one, the external subnet. Okay. So this is going to be one external subnet I'm going to create. Another subnet I'm going to create is internal subnet. Okay. And you will have the web subnet and the DB subnet. Or if you want more subnet, you can of course create more subnet as well. Okay. So this is the typical environment we are just going to set up. I'm going to start from the sketch. I'll create the VNet and everything. Okay. So in short, the idea is in the checkpoint you will be having the two NICs. Okay, one is the external one is the internal one. Okay. So if it is a cluster, of course we'll have the two members. Okay. If you just want to have the single one instance, so you can just of course install the single as well. But the idea is you will have the external interface. Let's see, ETH1, or might be internal one could be ETH0. I think naming convention is a bit wrong here. It could be other way around also. So it depends. You want to make the ETH0 as an internal or external, it's up to you. Okay. So what is going to happen is on the firewall, this external interface would be somehow connecting to the Azure load balancer. And whatever the public IPs you use for the netting or for the outbound access or for the inbound access, those public IPs going to be terminated on the Azure load balancer. Okay. And you will see when I'll do the deployment, this whole things, many of the things, you don't need to go into the deep, it will be automatic. Like the Azure load balancer, you don't need to set up, it will be automatic. Okay. And the another subnet that I said, the internal subnet, that would be behind the firewall. Okay. So there's two ways. If I want, I can put some host or might be my servers into the internal subnet, or if I want, I can have the third subnet called the web subnet or the DB subnet. Okay, third and fourth subnet. Okay. So any question, guys, on the topology, because the topology is very important to understand. Let me know if at this point.
So Harshpal, this is Vishal here. There are a few queries which we had. Actually, I'm not sure if Jital already discussed. So just quick queries on that. When we are talking about topology, so like when we are doing the Azure deployment, what we have observed that there are a few subnets which are already defined, including the default gateway subnet also.
Okay.
And we have defined one subnet as a security subnet, which we are expecting to be used for the interfaces of the checkpoint Vsec cluster itself.
Okay.
So now, when we are trying to provision the Vsec cluster, usually for the external interface and internal interface, it asks to assign the separate IP address subnets, not the same one.
Yeah.
So whatever subnets we have used or reserved as a security subnet for assigning it to checkpoint interfaces, would it require to be further divided? Means should we again further divide that subnet into multiple subnets, or we should use the separate subnets? That is what the requirement is, right? We can't use the default subnet. We can't use the same subnet on both the interfaces. It has to be the specific defined subnets only, right?
Yeah, that's true. So of course, like two subnets should be different, because for any routing device, you cannot have the same subnet on the two interface, right?
Okay.
So might
And
be,
that means it's
if you say like you are the security subnet, so might be you can subdivide the security subnet into two subnet, okay, external security subnet, external security subnet, internal, something like that. So one you can assign outside
okay.
and one you can assign inside.
Okay. And down the line, what we are planning to have is 4 interfaces on this checkpoint Vsec. So even if we are provisioning the more interfaces after the initial provisioning, it should also be having the designated subnets created for the additional interfaces as well. The same subnets can't be used.
Yeah, of course, that's true. Okay. But the
And second point was
one thing, like also like you're saying, like you are having you might be having the multiple interfaces. So what I say is usually in the Azure environment, you actually don't need the multiple interfaces like you need into the physical environment. Okay. So I'll say, for example, let's suppose like if you look at this topology or the typical requirement of most of the customers, they will have their objective is to provide the web server, the DB server, right? Now, usually, if you look at into the physical environment, you have the web subnet behind one interface and the database subnet in another behind another interface. But actually, in case of the Azure, this is not required because we get the functionality of the UDR. Okay, so using the UDR, basically we can do the redirection, we can still do the protection. Okay, so you will not need the dedicated interface for each and every subnet. But like say, let's suppose you have the express route as well. Okay. Now, in case of express route, the good idea would be, let's suppose you'll have the 3 interfaces. One is external, one is internal, and one would be one would be connecting to your express route. Okay. So from your on premise, you come to via the express route, you come to the interface, you manage the firewall. If you have the management server on to the on premise, you manage, so you use that one as a management interface. Okay. And further later on, if you have any requirement, you want to deploy more server or more, you want to segregate some more traffic into different subnets, you can just create a subnet and you can use UDR, and behind the same interface you can have the multiple subnet. You will still be protecting those subnets.
Okay.
So what you are saying is that when we are having the express route, it is a good idea to have at least the 3 interfaces, one for internet, one for internal, and one for express route connectivity, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. And in case if we are also having a DMZ subnet, so what we are going to have, the more or less whatever you have shown, on top of that we are also going to have a DMZ subnet, a subnet which is going to host the servers externally accessible.
Correct.
And we are also going to have a management subnet which will host our management components, maybe AD and all those things. So are you suggesting that we should have the 3 interfaces over here? One is for internet, one is dedicated for the express route, and the third one is an internal one. And we should use the UDR actually, having all those subnets segregated, DMZ, web subnet, DB subnet, or any other internal segment segregated internally, and then using the UDR to point it to the same internal subnet only.
Yeah, that's true. Because actually there is no need of just having the multiple interface, because you get the functionality. Otherwise, like it will be more complex to manage if you have the multiple interfaces. So it will be very simple also, and it will be easy to manage. But
and you are talking about something on management server, right? You just pointed out something for management one, and in your diagram also something is mentioned at 0.4. What is that?
Yeah, I'm just going to talk about that. Okay.
Okay, no issues.
Okay.
So before that, Harsh, I had a question. You were talking about terminating the express route. So where exactly do we need to terminate the express route?
So the express route, it would be like you will be having, I think there would be one more VNet, okay, that would be attached to your express route, and you just need,
gateway.
We have a
gateway.
You just need to do the VNet pairing. Okay, I'm just forgetting that exactly, but I did a long time back, but I don't remember exactly. The only thing is you need to use the VNet pairing. Okay, if it is into a different VNet, and you can just quickly just assign it. So I don't remember exactly. If you want, I can just check it out, and might be we can discuss on that particular one separately.
Yeah, that will be our main requirement also, because on-prem connections will terminate into, there is no VNet peering involved here, because we just have one VNet. We just have one VNet, and there will be one link coming from the on-prem to the Azure load balancer. Whether it has to be terminating in this red color that you have got external subnet is kind of gateway subnet for us. So we already have a gateway subnet where all the external endpoints, all the VPN endpoints finally terminate. So is that the same subnet? We will also show you how we have planned our this topology. Once you are through with that, so that will be one requirement for us where to terminate those connections, either VPN or Express route.
Okay. I think we can discuss on that.
Sure.
Okay. So so now so this is the typical topology. Now the another thing is like in the checkpoint, you must be knowing that we need a separate dedicated management server to manage the gateways. Okay, so there could be two things, like there are customers from their existing management server which is on the on-premise. They are using the existing on-premise management server to manage the Vsec gateways which is onto the cloud. Okay, and there are customers who doesn't have anything on the on-premise, so they basically deploy the management server into the cloud itself. Okay. So both the way it is possible. The only requirement for the checkpoint is we need a communication between the management server. So this management server should be able to talk to the virtual gateway. Even if the management server is on premise, and if you have the connectivity via the express route, so via the express route, if you can reach this IP or might be internal IP, any of the IP address, so you should be able to manage the management the Vsec gateways. Okay. So it's up to how.
So Harshpal, when we are using the management server, be it on cloud or on premise, is there any requirement to use the external IP address or the public IP address to be configured to define the gateway in the respective management server, or we can define any of the private IP address? Because in one of the articles I have seen it was referring to use the public IP address for defining the gateway in the management server.
No, as such, it is not mandatory or nothing like you have to do it. You can of course use the private only. I don't know, because I think that question was earlier also it was raised, but there's no reason you should use the public IP address. Even in my case also, I'm going to use the private IP address only. Okay. Now the only thing is Now I'll tell you one thing. Now for example, let's suppose I'm having the management server into the Azure environment. Okay. Now if I don't have the express route connectivity, there's only way for me to connect to the management server is the public IP. So on the management server I'll have the public IP, but it is not like on the external interface you should have the public IP. Okay. So even if you look at into my topology, this is the de facto topology. If you look at the article SK 109360, if you look at these two articles, the same thing is explained there. Because in the Azure environment, we don't configure any public IP address on the checkpoint gateway, because the Azure platform does not allow it to use the public IP address. It is only possible to use the public IP address onto the Azure load balancer. Okay. Okay. So I'll move forward. So I think this thing is pretty clear, right? So I'm not going
to and this load balancer, I think, will automatically get provisioned when we are provisioning the Vsec cluster, right?
Yeah, we will see that. Okay. So quickly, I just go through. So from this sketch, I think you guys must be aware at least about this portal, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a virtual network quickly, because I didn't do anything. I just wanted to showcase from the beginning. Okay. So this is the address space I was talking to you. So I taken this /16, and let's say, so by default it will create one subnet. I'm going to give it a name external, and this is going to be external. Okay, I'll give some name stick. Okay, just taking time again. So one thing, you want me to do the cluster now, or I should just move on to the single instance?
We have a confusion on the cluster itself. We have a confusion on the cluster that we already tried with the cluster. So if you good, if you can show cluster.
Yeah, that's okay. And are you guys using 7730 or R80?
Sure.
So that is also one of the question that which one we should use here in the Azure because we knew that the 77.30 should be used, but is it that R80 can also be used?
See, the only thing is, like I was discussing with the Jeetal also, like you can of course use the R80, okay, but that depends if are you going to have the management server onto the cloud or onto the on-prem?
It is on-premise Smart 1 210 appliance.
Okay. So in that case,
initially we might require to have it on cloud for just for few days till the time we get on-premise setup ready. But eventually the strategy would be to have the on-premise Smart 1 appliance.
Okay, so I think let's do one thing. We'll see that what exactly you can use, but both the options are open. Okay, I think we'll discuss that separately. Otherwise, these things will be delayed. Okay.
Okay.
But you can use anything. So if you want, let me just do it for the R7730 because that is quick and faster also. Okay? And might be if you are familiar with that, so that will be easy for you to understand anyways, because the R80 is completely different. So I'll say internal subnet I created. No NSE. So as of now, I just created two subnet. External was created by default when I first created the VNet, and the internal. Okay. I missed the IP. Okay, that's okay. So now I'm going to create the third one. Web subnet. Okay. So if you look at our topology, we have the four subnets. Okay. Now the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this Azure marketplace, and from there I'm just going to launch the checkpoint management server. Does it comes?
So, Harsh, sorry, I missed you. We are going to use the cluster version, not the normal version.
So this one is I'm launching the management server. Okay, not the gateway. So if you look at, let me just explain you.
Okay.
So
for management server, we require a separate checkpoint installation.
Yeah, of course. So because it's completely different virtual machine, right?
No, but we can also install a normal virtual machine and then install the dashboard on that smart board.
What do you mean by normal virtual machine?
Simple virtual machine and then the management dashboard.
No,
that not be enough?
No, so you mean like simple virtual machine? What I mean is the virtual machine, it will have the operating system, either it is Windows or Linux or something, right?
Yes.
So,
correct.
Yeah, so earlier we used to have even still also I think we have it. So we are depreciating that particular thing. Like earlier you used to have the Windows, on the top of the Windows you install the checkpoint software. Okay. But now what we have is we are having an Gaia image, which is a Linux operating system, okay, inbuilt with the checkpoint software. Okay. Now when I'm launching this particular instance, what is going to happen is this is an Linux instance, which is called the Gaia operating system, okay, and which is already having the checkpoint software in it. Okay.
Now, when you say checkpoint software, what exactly is the name of that software?
The name of it's like Gaia operating system, we say.
No, not the operating system. We are referring to the dashboard, the smart dashboard.
Yeah.
That's
so
what
dashboard is.
We are only referring to that. Yeah.
No, see, the dashboard is the management console, just a management console. So,
exactly.
because let me just explain you here. So, what is there is like you have the management server. So, this is a Linux instance, okay, which is an checkpoint Gaia virtual machine. Okay. Now, Gaia is the name that we have given to our operating system. Okay.
I got that. Yeah.
Okay. So, under that, we are having the checkpoint software installed on it. Okay. So, this particular machine will be having the management software on it. Okay. And from this, now what I need to do is from my client PC, if there will be any PC, like in my case, it's going to be my laptop, I'm going to launch the this smart console. Okay. It could be R80 or R7730. From this client tool, I'm going to log into this management server, and from here I'm going to manage these virtual firewalls.
Okay. So if I understand correctly, then smart dashboard is not installed on that particular machine.
No,
it is locally installed on a machine.
Yeah.
And you connect to that management server. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, we require a separate management server for controlling this entire cluster also.
Yeah, that's true.
Got it.
So it's like management server is like putty.
So I think Harshpal, what you are talking about is what Anil is trying to clarify is that see, in our case, as we mentioned, we are going to have the management server on premise, and we are just looking out to have some interim solution to create the initial policies and the setup using the smart dashboard. So the question which he is trying to put is instead of having or launching a new VM, we are having some jump box with the Windows servers and all those things. Can't we install the smart dashboard on those Windows machines and do the initial policy deployments or configuration, and then later on using the on-premise smart one to manage this?
I'll tell you what you need to do. I understood what you mean. So what you need to do is, let's suppose you mean to say the jump box you have, that is where exactly it is. It is into on-premise or into the cloud?
It is on the cloud on using Windows.
So let's suppose what you mean is, let's suppose there is another jump box here. Okay. So this is, let's suppose, a Windows jump box. Okay. So what you can do is you need to install this particular client, this thing console. Okay. This will be just a console. It doesn't have anything. It is just an like putty. Okay. Like putty is just a client tool. From there you log into your appliances or firewall, anything, right? So this is the client. Here you will have the client, the smart console software, and from here you log into the management server. Okay. And once you log in from here, you will manage this management server. From management server, you will add these machines and push the policies, create policies, and each everything. You'll see that. I'm just going to do it. Okay.
No, so we got that, Harshpal. The only question was, can't we have this management server, what component we are talking about, as a temporary solution on the existing jump box itself?
No, you cannot have as of now. You need to deploy the separate virtual machine. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to the checkpoint Vsec, bring your over license. Okay. And if you want the R80, of course, we can launch this. So this is for the R80 version. This is for the 7730 version. Okay. And then you have the checkpoint Vsec cluster 2 NICs. Okay. So this is, if you want, this is for the gateway where you want the cluster instances. So automatically, the moment you launch this, there will be 2 virtual machines will be there. So let me just do one thing. Okay, I'll take this one. You either first one also, you can take the first one and this one also. The first one I never used it, so I don't want to use it. This one is, I'm pretty sure. So this one I'm going to use as a management server. No, I think I selected cluster by default. Is it? Oh, sorry, not the cluster. Okay, this one is good. Okay, so now here if you look at, so this is the management server I'm launching here. Okay, so now if you go back to the topology, now it's up to you if you want the management server to be part of the external subnet. Okay, so you can select the subnet whatever you want to. Okay, so you can keep it external or internal as well. Okay, so I think I've taken the two nick. That's what it is coming for. One moment. Okay, this is cluster. This is for standalone. Oh. No, I think I need to take the first one only because I think this is for the standalone. Sorry, I got confused. I always use the RAT as a management. I never use 730. That's what. Okay, so I think this is good. Let me just see. Okay, this is true. So let's say MGMT. Admin. Okay, so that's what I was saying. So it's up to you. If you want to change it, you can of course change it into internal as well. Okay, so in your case, when you have the but I think you're going to have the management server on premise, so not relevant for you. Okay, and the public IP address. I'm not going to put anything. So this is now launching the your management server instance. And by the time this happens, let me launch the cluster also.
So do we need to have two of these, or just one is enough for a cluster of two?
Sorry?
Do we need to have two of these two NIC clusters, or when you provision one, you will all automatically get two VMs?
Automatically, it will get two VMs.
Because we have already tried this and we do not get two.
Yeah, I don't know because the GTL was also saying me, but by design, you should get the two NIC only. The two members automatically should come. It takes. I'll not create it. Does it allows me? Okay, it doesn't allow me, so I need to keep the one. So here you define external and you say internal. Okay. So two subnets. So I'll take let me take up the fourth role. So this is the SIG key. So SIG key is basically nothing but an unique key which you will use to make a trust between your management and the gateways. So if I go to this IP now, okay, so I think my management one is launched. Let me see this ID. So it says 52. So I'm just logging to the management server from my laptop, okay, because it is on public IP as of now.
What is the default password which usually comes here?
No, there was no default password. If you remember, when I was launching the instance into the Azure portal, I supplied the password. Username was the admin.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, got it.
Okay, so let me just now try to. So on the management server, I can do the SSH. Now let me just try to get to the web GUI. Okay. So let me explain you a bit things here. Okay. So if you look at now, I just launched the management instance. Okay. And what I did is when I was launching, by default, I attached a public IP address to this management server also. Okay, so that I can basically log into the management server. Okay, because I don't have express out connectivity, there is no connectivity. The only way to get for me to get into management server is via the public IP address. Okay, so there's one public IP address that got associated on should be onto Azure load balancer or directly via the Azure platform. So it has been bind to the my management server. Okay, now if you look at the management server private IP address, so sorry, it should be Vsec. Okay, so if you look at the my IP address is 10.0.0.4. Okay, but there is a netting has been done by the Azure side, which is given me the public IP address. So I'm logging to my management server via this public IP address. You see here. Okay.
Okay. So if we want this temporary or interim management server to be accessible remotely, also we should provision it into the external subnet only.
Yeah, that's true. Even if you are the internal subnet, but there is another way on the Azure. You can directly do a netting using the Azure thing. So it doesn't matter you have it on internal or external, because there's a separate configuration. I'll just show you in some time also. So you can just log in via the public IP address, and from there you can manage your gateways. Okay. So might be like you guys for the time being, if you want to have a setup ready, you can of course go through with this one. Okay. Later on, once you have the on-prem management server ready, you can take the export the policies, and you can have the policy imported into your existing one, and from there then you can delete this particular management server, and you can manage from there itself. Okay. So
okay.
So now because I'm logging to the first time. Okay. And in R77, because I taken the R7730 version. Okay, so first time I have to run through this checkpoint first time configuration wizard. Okay, so this is we are doing for the management server. I say just next, continue the Gaia 7730. I'll keep the IP address same. Okay, don't change this DNS server. Okay, as of, in the starting, later on you can do it, because this is the IP address that this guy is provided, Azure is provided. So here basically you get an option security gateway, security management server. Okay, so I'm going to select the first one, and I'm just going to make this particular version as a security gateway. Okay, so this will be as a security management. So this will be just a management server. This will manage the my 2 cluster members that we just launched. Okay. Now here I'm just defining so this is the username password for the for the database, so that you can log in using the smart console. So while logging via the smart console, you'll use this particular username password. Now whatever the username password. Yeah.
Sorry, Harshpal, can you please go back to previous screen? Sorry to interrupt you here.
Okay.
So my question is, if it is giving me an option of security gateway and management both, so can't we do one thing, like we haven't factored any interim VM actually for the security management. Okay. What we thought of that we would be able to deploy some piece of software of checkpoint on the existing Jambox only, through which we will be able to manage the initial set of policy. But as you are saying that it has to be a separate VM installation, can't we do it like this, provisioning the checkpoint Vsec cluster only, and when doing the first time installation of the management, sorry, this gateway, selecting this security management component also, and then removing this product later on?
Yeah, of course you can do it. Yes, you can do it. So for the 7730 version, okay, if you want, you can have the single virtual machine which will do both the things. Okay, but on the
but later on we can make it only as a gateway, right?
Yeah,
is that possible?
Later on, so you need to again deploy the new instance, and you need to just decommission this one. You cannot change it later on. Like once you, this is the if you defined it now, okay, you cannot again go back and deselect as a management. You just have the security gateway. So if you want, you just decommission this one and you launch the new one, and when you do the first time wizard for the new one, you just select as a security gateway.
Okay, means it's not a reversible procedure. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, of course, the option is there for the R7730 version. You can do it, but there are as of now, I know the full cluster HA is not supported if you're creating the management and gateway onto the single virtual machine. Okay, but
okay, got it.
Okay. So that's what. And usually, like I've seen, 90% of the people use the distributor architecture only, but having the management server onto the separate one and the gate one separate. Okay, so this is now just installing the only management piece of the software onto the virtual machine. Okay, so this guy will take some time. So by the time I can just go back to, and I can see if this deployment is ready. No, I think it's still going on. Okay. Okay, I think it's done. So if you look at here now you were saying that you were only seeing the, when you were launching you were only seeing the one virtual machine. Now if you look at here, if you see here, sorry. So you see here CP cluster 1, CP cluster 2. Okay, so one virtual machine is this is the one security gateway. This is the another security gateway. Okay.
So I think, Anil, we haven't reached to this stage, so that's why we might not be able to see this during the very first stage.
One second. Where is the third one, the management server that we are configuring?
You see it here. So in the virtual machine, I'm seeing 3 machines. MGMT is separate. Okay. CP cluster 1 is the primary one, I can say, or the CP cluster 2 is the secondary one, I can say. Okay. So automatically, I just launched the one cluster instance, or automatically it has provisioned the 2 virtual members. Okay.
Okay, let me just check with the team.
Okay, fine. So now let me just see what exactly the IP address has been assigned to. Okay. So if I go here, there should be the network interfaces. Okay, so external is 10.0.0.5. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, let me see, I say ping. So from the management server, 0.5. It's not pinging. Something is not good. Anyways, we'll figure out. So usually they both are into the same subnet. They should be able to ping, but there could be some initial policies which should be preventing which might be preventing the ICMP. I'll just check out that as well. Let me just write down the IP address first. Okay. Okay, so what is the CP plus public IP address? CP1. So 1 is the cluster IP, 2 is the member IP. CP cluster is the cluster IP, cluster 1, this is the member IP, and this is the member IP. Okay. And this has been associated with the external interface of the security gateways. 126.
So in the same way, 3 private IP also get assigned. One is a cluster and another is member IPs.
No. There will be only 2 private IP addresses. Okay. And so the third cluster IP address, which is the, so let me put this way, let me just log in this, I'll explain.
So for private IP, we require only 2 private IPs, though the public IPs get 3 assigned. Huh?
Yeah. So automatically during the failover, the private IP address automatically moves from your the public cluster IP address. It moves from the primary member to the secondary members. Okay. There will not be any cluster IP here.
Okay.
I don't know why it is not working.
No, so in case of our internal interface, Ashpal, how it would happen? Like we have 10.0.1.1.
Yeah, I'll explain you about the cluster failover thing. Okay. Okay, so I'll explain you how exactly it will happen. So I'm able to log into the CP cluster 1. Let me just make sure I'm able to log into the another one as well. So you can see I'm into both. Okay. Now my management server IP address is 10.0.0.4. Right. So I can. So if you look at from the CP cluster 1 member, I can ping the management server IP. Okay. And let me try it from the another one. Ping 10.0.0.4. So from both the members, I can ping the management server. Correct, because they all are into the same subnet. And let me just show you. If I say here, I have config. So you see this is the internal IP 1.4 has been assigned, and here it is 10.0.0.5 has been assigned. And if I say I have config, so here also you see 10.0.6 is assigned and 10.0.1.5 is assigned. Okay, so this is the same thing what I have into my topology. Okay. Any doubt till now? I know might be some of the things will not be easy for might be you to digest because it's completely new thing. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to
1 minute, Harsh.
Yeah.
Is there any difference between the pay as you go and bring your own license, BYOL?
Yeah. Of course, the pay as you grow is basically you pay to you pay to the Azure. Okay, and even for the licensing and everything you pay to the Azure. And
what we are asking is that in the terms of provisioned cluster resources, we understand the terminology.
Okay.
What we are asking is that
okay.
in the terms of checkpoint resources, we have used BYOL.
Okay.
And we notice that we are just getting one virtual machine. And
No. So with the configuration and those things, technical thing, it should remain same. Only the billing difference.
Okay, we'll come back to you. We'll try again and we'll come back to you.
Okay, so now I'm going to log into the management server. So this is my laptop. From my laptop, I'm having this smart console already installed. Okay, and from there, I'm just logging to the. There are multiple parts that I don't know which one I given. Okay. So from my laptop, this could not be open. Not open. Oh, let me see whether the wizard has been completed. Oh, it is still going on. So let's suppose this is my laptop, and from here, I'm just. So I'll say this is smart console PC. And from here, I'm just logging to this management server. Okay. It is completed. Now let me just try to log in if it works. I think it might take time. Some process will be coming up.
I am then reach out to him. Three machines are there. One for monitoring for clusters.
I think the process is still, we need to wait for some time.
So Vishal, I had a question here while we are waiting for this to finish. Vishal?
Yeah.
So, what is the plan for us? Are we going to have on-prem management server also, or there is no management server on-prem? No separate.
No. That's what we are discussing. We already have a on-prem management server. That is an appliance, actually smart one appliance, which is rack and stack. But the configuration would happen only the initial cabling and all the connectivities are done. So that's why I was specifically asking Harshpal in terms of having a temporary access or the provisioning of some management server on Azure.
So, what we have concluded in that we are going to have this management server in Azure now? Or?
No, we haven't considered. That's why I was mentioning it as an interim solution till the time we get the management server in Tomba.
But likewise, I'm doing. Do you have any challenge to do in this way?
The only thing is what is differing for us is the number of VM.
Yeah. Okay.
We chose and we got only one VM.
Oh, is it?
We'll again try and come back to you.
Okay. Because I think this is the easy way to set it up.
Okay.
Okay, so now if you can say, what I did as of now is from the smart console, okay, I logged into the management server. Okay, now what I'm going to do is in this management server, I'm going to add these two members as a cluster. Okay, I'm going to create a cluster object in my management server. I'm going to add these two firewalls. Okay, so go to checkpoint, right click here, security cluster. So checkpoint appliance / open server, let's say wizard mode. So I'll give it a name, CP cluster. So this is a cluster name and IP address. So here it doesn't matter. If you want, you can take the, you can put the public IP address here, or you can take the, what I say, yeah, you can, because if you look at here, I'm having the 3 IP address, CP cluster, okay, and this one also. So if you want, you can put the public IP address, and if you want, you can of course have the private IP address. It doesn't matter. Because
yeah, exactly. This was the place, Harshpal, where I was referring in the document of checkpoint, which was showing to use the public IP address specifically.
Okay. So let me tell you one thing here. What is going to happen is, you actually, it doesn't, that's what I'm saying, it doesn't matter whether I put the public IP address here or the private IP address, because when you push the policy, we are not going to push the policy on the public IP address, because the policy push is going to happen from the management server to the gateway. And now if you look at management server, it's IP address 10.0.0.4, and it's going to push to the members, not onto the cluster IP. So it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Now only thing is, might be they suggest is to use the public, put the public IP address, because it could be useful for you. Might be VPN if you have the VPN, or might be when you generate the VPN certificate. So in that case, you will have the public IP binded on it. Okay. So otherwise, as such, there is no mandatory thing. It's up to you. Okay.
And for this high availability option, the next one is the choose the cluster solution. Is the only one which we can select, or
yes. No.
I think it doesn't support anything else, right?
No. As of now, it's only the checkpoint cluster Excel is here. So I'll tell you exactly.
And the HA option,
I'll tell you about the checkpoint clustering things. Okay, I'll explain you how exactly it is. It is very different from the physical environment here. Okay. Now I'm going to add the new cluster member here, CP plus 1, and then I put the IP address 10.0.0.5. Okay. The activation key. Okay. So this is the SIG key I have given when I was launching the cluster instance into your Azure portal. Okay. So this trust between the management server and the primary gateway. let me add the secondary gateway CP UST 2 and 10.0.0.6. Okay, now here so okay, I'll say so. See now what if you look at here 10.0.1.0. Okay, so this is our internal subnet. So what I'm going to select, I'm going to select this interface as a cluster synchronous interface. Okay, I'm not going to define as a representing a cluster interface. Okay, usually in the physical environment you define as a cluster interface. Now there is reason for it. I'll come back to that particular on why exactly we are doing it. Okay, let me just first finish. And this one also I will define as a secondary. Okay, so both the external and internal interfaces I have defined as a sync interface. So what is going to happen is I actually don't need a third interface just for the synchronization. That is the one thing. Okay, so I will be using this one as a first sync, this one is a second sync. So the synchronization between the gateway, the state table of the gateway will sync using this particular path. Okay, this one and this one.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm not defining any cluster interface here. Okay, there's a reason I'm going to explain you about that. So okay, so I'll just enable as of now the firewall and IPsec and just say okay. Okay, let me just remove that from the topology. So if you see my cluster is created here, okay, and I'm going to create a rule saying that any allow as of now. Okay, so by the time the policy is pushing, let me explain you the cluster thing here. So what is going to happen in the checkpoint cluster? I did not define any cluster interface. I did not define any third cluster IP address here. Okay, so what is going to happen is for the web subnet, we will be having in the web subnet we will define the UDR. Okay, so in the UDR there will be the next hop IP address. So this next hop IP address will point to the primary member IP address. Okay, now in case of failure, if I'm going to shut down this virtual machine or something happens wrong with this first virtual machine, there is an automatically script will be running between the checkpoint and the Azure platform. So the checkpoint firewall have a JSON script, that script, the Python script, that script will give a feedback to the Azure platform saying that this machine is not available. Change your next hop from the 10.0.1.4 to the 10.0.1.5. Okay, so actually what is happening is whatever the resource that the primary members was owning, those resource will transfer to the secondary one. So like for example, the route table will be having the next of IP as address as 10.0.1.4. automatically it will change to the 10.0.1.5. Okay, same thing for the Azure NAT load balancer. When you're having the NAT, if you're doing any NAT which is happening with the 10.0.0.5, in case of the failure of the primary members, the NAT table on the Azure load balancer automatically going to update and it is going to point to the 10.0.0.6. Okay, so we are not actually doing the clustering on the checkpoint firewall. On the checkpoint firewall, we are only doing a sync, and for the cluster failover, we are using the Azure functionality to do the failover We are just changing the route into the Azure platform. Does it make sense?
Okay, fine.
So now
so essentially there is no reassignment of IP address. It's a UDR change by the checkpoint automatically with the Verizon. With the Azure.
Yeah. So we tell the Azure to change the UDR, and he change the IP address from primary member to secondary member.
So in some of the document, Ashpal, it was referring to have some Azure Active Directory user account or something like that.
Yeah.
In your entire deployment, I haven't seen any reference of any user account or anything like that. So what is the requirement of that?
Yeah. We actually did not reach to that stage as of now.
Okay.
So that would be the next thing. So I don't know whether I will be able to showcase that one to you or not, but I'll tell you what exactly happens is, if you look at the article number this, let me open this. I think it should be open already. So you would have seen this article. Okay, let me show you. What is that? No, this one, sorry. Okay, so if you look at here, this thing, right? So this is the one script you have. Okay, so in this script there are two things you need to supply: the application ID and the password. Okay, now how do you get this? Let me show you. So you need to run the PowerShell, and from the PowerShell you get these two things. I need to show the entire article. Okay, here. Okay, so open the PowerShell windows and run the following script. So you run this thing. Okay, and here, so you need to just log in it here and wait till the new application is propagated, and you will basically, here you will get the two things. So this one and this one, you get it here. Okay, and once you have this ID, you go into your gateway, and the gateway, what is the script I was showing you in the script, this particular script. Okay, you put this IP, save your file, and that's it. And then you can just push the policy again, and done. This is what is needed for the cluster failover to happen. So now there's a way, even if you want, you can do it from the GUI also. Okay, I think we did it for the Damlier. I think we did. So this thing is ready. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to have the third one virtual machine. I'll have the web subnet. Okay, in the web subnet, I'll have the web server. So let me just launch some Windows PC here. Okay. I'll have the public IP. So here you select the public IP address. Okay, doesn't matter. It is on. You keep your server on any subnet. Okay, like you was asking me. So you can keep it in internal or external. Once you select the public IP address, automatically this public IP address get maps with your private IP address. So I just kept it so that I can log in, and then from there I'll just change the default route to the firewall. And what I'm going to do is now is I'm just going to have web server here. Okay, this one, and this web server will have public IP address. So on the public IP, I'll log into the web server. Okay, and by default it will go via the Azure Internet Gateway. The traffic will not come to the checkpoint. Okay, now to divert the traffic to the checkpoint, what you need to do is on this web subnet, we'll define a UDR, and the UDR will say if the destination is internet, Google, Facebook, anything, say any, go here. Okay, so that all the traffic, and I try to ping the, for example, 4.2.2, it should go at the firewall. Okay, so that we'll be able to see how exactly the traffic get redirecting from the web by using the UDR. So I think it is launching. So by the time this is launching, any question, guys? Let me also generate the ID. I can, by the time it's happening. So go here. So you just need to put the resource group. So go to virtual machine. And what is the resource group here? Okay, so just put this thing here, and now then run this. And then copy the.
Sorry, Ashpal, what are you trying to do here with this PowerShell script?
The same thing I explained you, right? I'm going to generate these two IDs here, okay, which is required to put into this particular file. The application ID and the password I'm going to generate. Okay, so from the PowerShell, nothing I did. I just, whatever it's mentioned in the article, I just copy these things. Okay, on the resource group, under the code, I just put my resource group name. Okay, so if you look at here, my resource group name is RGCP Plus. Okay.
And why it is required for this PowerShell means?
So this is required for the cluster failover. I told you, right? As soon as the member is down, we tell the Azure, okay, to change the route. Right now, for that actually we need an authentication, okay, authorization between the Azure platform and the checkpoint virtual machine.
Okay.
Got it? So the idea is from this script, you generate the application ID and the password. Then you supply this application ID and password into the checkpoint firewall on this particular file, and this is done. So this is what I was thinking. By the time it is launching the web, I'll just generate it.
But it's different from that AD service account which I was referring.
No,
account.
Same. It is actually same. So this, even if you want, you can just create the access role on the Azure. This IAM role, from the IAM role you can create and you can use it. So it is the same thing. It is not different. So only thing is you need application ID and password. Either you generate from the PowerShell, or either you get it from you log into the Azure portal, from the IAM role you go, and from there you get it. Okay, any which way.
Okay.
So let me just quickly do this. Okay, so to here I did. So just log into your. It required the contributor role.
Or directly, if you can get from the portal, show the other method also.
Yeah. I'll show you. I'm actually having the print screen for that. Then let me just finish this quickly. I think there's something wrong. I don't know. So anyways, let me just skip this for now because it's going to take time. I don't know, might be something has been changed, but I should not get the error. So anyways, let me just show you the, hold on. So, okay, so this is how, so these are the permission you defined, and let me just check it out. Okay. Okay, so I think the web server is ready. Okay, I'll come back to that. Okay, let me just first try to complete this thing. Okay, and 'I don't know, something is not good. But are we able to ping this IP? (1595 to 18180). The IP is correct. Okay, it's coming now. Mm. Okay, so I'm going via this 180 IP address. So if you look at it, should not be the IP address assigned to. So this is the IP address. It's a static NAT. Okay, so now any outbound traffic from the server is going via the static IP that assigned by the Azure. Okay, now what I'm going to do is yes. Okay, now here, if I go to the route table, I'm just going to create a new route table, and I'll say web -rt. Let me see if I don't need to create a new resource group. So now what exactly is happening is in the web subnet, any traffic is going via the Azure Internet Gateway. Okay. So I'll create an route table saying that if the destination is 0.0.0, then your next stop should be the checkpoint primary member IP address. So this is the web route table we have. We go to route. So we add a route. So before that, let me just find out what is my IP address. So I'll just bypass my IP address so that I should not lose the access of the remote desktop, because as of now, otherwise. So what is my IP? Okay, so I'm going to say in the route table first. Okay, I'll say bypass. And I'm going to hit default route, saying that 0.0.0/0, and it should go to the virtual appliance 10.0.0.4. Okay, so what I've done is I just created two route in this route table saying that if the destination is this IP, so that it should go to the Azure Internet Gateway. Okay, this is just to make sure that I should not lose the access of the remote desktop. And the another route I'm saying the default route, anything which goes out from this web server apart from the 122 IP address should go to the checkpoint firewall. Okay, this is how we redirect the traffic.
So in the real world scenario, do you need this the bypass route also?
No, you actually don't need it. It is just for me, otherwise I'll not be able to showcase, I'll not have the access, right? So for that purpose, so in your case you'll just have the default route. Okay. So now if you go to your subnet, let's say web subnet, and in the web server subnet you attach the route table. Okay, now let me just run the thing here. Okay, so web route table, save. Actually we should No. Why? Just a moment, let me check. Something is not good. 2.0. Yeah, it's on the website. Maybe test the web route. It should work actually. Might take some time. Windows 0 to 50 and this machine is Windows 0 2.4 is correct. Actually, no. Oh, I think I said it should be 10.0 to 1.4 internal IP, not the external. Right, so now it is not working because the traffic is going to the checkpoint firewall. So using the UDR, I just redirected the traffic so that all the traffic will go to checkpoint firewall. Now if I go here and if I launch the smart Okay, so if I filter for the ICMP, no, filter by this was 10.0.2.4. Go right. Yeah. Something is not good here. No, I think something is not good. We are not even, traffic is not hitting the firewall. So right. Mm. Number 4, right? This is the term. Okay, I can see the traffic is coming. Might be it is being dropped. So we need to run the debug quite exactly as wctl z debug. I think it could be anti-spoofing thing. Let me just remove the anti-spoofing. This is perfect external, internal. So for the time being, I'm just removing the anti-spoofing. Okay, but okay, so you can see this at least reaching to the firewall, right? But of course, we don't have the net rule, so it will not go through. But at least we should see the logs here. Okay, I think there's something wrong with the log. Okay, here I'm seeing. So source to the destination distance. Here. Not too sure. So I think this is standby. That is what a problem. So 0.5 I'll say. No, it should not be 0.5. It should be 1.5.
So this will not be an active cluster.
No, it will not be active. It will be active passive. I think if I'm not wrong, as of now, active is not supported.
Okay.
So I don't know, because I need to do some troubleshooting, but eventually, but I can see the traffic is hitting to the firewall. Okay, so in the checkpoint level only, I need to do some troubleshooting, but I can see using the okay, now you can see, right? The traffic is coming 8.8.8.8. Now we need to see, yeah. So it is at room rate also. Actually, it should work. I don't know why it is not working. Yeah. So actually, it should work, but I think something we would be missing. So okay, I think now you can see. I think the ping is not working. Might be some XYZ reason, but you can see now the traffic is routing via the firewall, right? You can see the IP address is changed. So this is how basically we use the UDR. Oh. You should be able to see the traffic hitting. Yeah, you can see that HTTP traffic is going via the checkpoint firewall. So now only thing is the cluster part. I need to just check it out. Where was that IAM option? Let me just I'm just missing, but it was somewhere. Let me go to my virtual machines. So for the cluster, you can just create it. I just need to check it out where exactly that option comes in.
What exactly you're searching for?
I'm searching for the IAM roles.
Third from top.
Oh yeah, is it? And then here, see this is I think created automatically. So likewise, you can create your own. This is because I think I ran this script, because of that it's got created. So okay. So just create one user and then one moment. No, I don't remember. I need to check it out. So, but yeah, I know that we can just create an role, and from there we can just create the application ID and the password, and then we can use it. So I just need to check out where exactly that option is, but I know it is pretty well possible from the GUI only. You don't need to run the code.
Okay.
Okay, I'll just check it out and I'll send you where exactly that option comes in, because I did it. I did it with the Santosh. I did it. You remember Santosh from your delivery team? So we set up it for the dem layer.
So you just mentioned the steps. We will try to find it out. And do you require it to be done on both the clusters or nodes?
Yeah, it is. It's required on both the clusters.
Okay.
So only thing is that application ID and password, and then you go to the file, whatever the file was mentioned here. Let me just showcase you. So in the article it is mentioned very well, and here you go. Okay. So if you open this file, right? So here you can see. So this is already there, and yeah, here, right? So within this code, you need to put the client ID and the client secret.
Okay.
Okay. So these are the only things required for the cluster to work. So as soon as then you go to your virtual machine, shut down it, and automatically you'll see in the UDR, like for example, now I'm having 1.5 because my 1.5 is the primary one. Okay, so it will automatically change to the 1.4. Okay, and I think I sent one video link also that I created earlier. In that also, like I showcase how exactly it happens, and everything. So you guys can go through it and you can see exactly.
Sure. So just provide this PPT and also the recording so that we can.
Sure. Okay, so is there anything else we want to have it, because I think we are already half an hour late.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Thanks, Ashna. We have already.
No, I think it's.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, you guys. Let me know if you have any queries. Okay.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Rajpal, for your time.
No problem. Thanks for joining. Bye bye. Have a good day.
Bye.